to Malacca a few times. I've been to Malaysia a few times. I've been to Indonesia also, finding out. But it's like anything else. When you start off reading the book, you will not find everything in the first time understanding. Maybe you read again, then you are, oh, I didn't know this. And I also noticed that if you walk down the street, it's only after a few years, you say, ah, I never saw this tree. But you've been walking for 1 year maybe. So it's like that. So this time I went to Malacca, I didn't look at at the scenery. I started to notice the buildings, the shape of the buildings, the plastering, the molding, and then it looks to me, I've seen this somewhere. And this is where I saw it at my old house in Cape Town. All the old houses, it's the same building. That's why I think Malacca got so many replicas. You find the ship standing there is a replica of, so maybe they made another replica in Cape Town of Malacca. And now this morning I went with Muhammad and we went to town. And my interest became more in the building instead of something else. And there I find also more molding that is basically similar. And most of the moldings that I found is the ones that got the fluid pushed into the columns. You know, in the column, they made fluids. So most of the mosques and some buildings where they built pillars, they were plastered. So this brought me a little closer that, my grandfather somewhere here, you know. So this is how I'm now trying to trace. Not only knowing there is people looking like my grandfather, you know, because sometimes your grandfather was on a ship, you also left somebody there looked like a grandfather. So cool. But I also told them, in Cape Town, when we had a janaza, when somebody meninggal, after the people went to the kubu, they come back and everybody will be invited to eat. Makan at the house. But the food that we used to share with the people and the people whose father or mother or sister or brother meninggal will eat of this food. And this is beans, carrots, and peas. You know the peas? The grow peas, small peas in the plant, they call it peas, P-E-A-S, peas. I think if you don't have it, you should plant it. It's a de-stress. So I'm asking doctor now to look at it, how we can plant the peas. So they eat it raw or they make it in a food. So what we did was they make it with the meat, the daging, the peas, the carrots sliced up, and the beans, the big beans, which we call sugar beans. It's a big bean. This is all made together and cooked and make a food. This is now given to everybody that came to the janaza and all those who has also lost their father, etc. But what I'm sharing is that few years I read in the newspaper in America, the scientists discovered that the people of America is the most depressed people now because of all the things that, and this is true, I read it. And they found out to get people out of stress is to give this types of food. Now it comes to my understanding. I went to the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, and in the hadith it says, when somebody passed on, give the one, meaning the one that lost the father or the mother, food to eat, because he can come out of the present. Because if you lose, maybe you feel depressed, and if you don't eat, you can actually get physically ill, and this has been proven. If you are like depressed and you don't start to eat, you can actually get paralyzed through that illness, and this I've also seen. So to get you out of this, you should eat. So the Prophet instructed people to eat, but the food I'm coming to was not mentioned by the Prophet. So our people came to find out this is the food that should be given. And this was a common food. Up to now, it's no more eaten regularly. But all the old people up to my time, we used to have it twice and once a week. We used to call it eetjies, worteltjies, and bunchies. You ask anybody that you meet, you meet from Cape Town, you say, you like eetjies, worteltjies, and bunchies? And you will say, yeah, no, favorite food.
My one is rice.
You see, with the rice, obviously, with the nasi, you see, with that. So, this is what I say we should also trace and finding my grandfather. What did they eat? Where did they come from? So I'm not sure if that type of food was also eaten, maybe where it came from, maybe here, I don't know what food people eat. Today we have abandoned the eating of those food, and people now is very depressed because they eat curry when they come to the, you know. It's true. I mean, you know, I tell you also, because of this type of thing, I've also worked with school children. Yeah? As doctor, I picked up children, and I found out these boys, some of them, they cannot, you know, remember things easily. So I found, oh, you're very slow in thinking. So I went to the book of food. I say, oh, I must feed you raisins to strengthen you. And then I found, oh, you like to smoke a lot? Apples. So I also work on the basis of, so our parents used to eat food. You know, if you ask anything, you ask my teacher, how many children there were in the house? From my father, we are 13. 13. Old people had 13 children, no stress. Today, one child stress. Yeah? So it's in the matter of what our parents ate. Yeah? And then the type of work they did. They were builders. They come home, they eat food. They had time. They were not business people, Malay people. Malay people were mostly workers, and people thought they were slaves. So they brand them as slaves, especially the Cape Malay people. Say, these people were slaves. Up to now, people will say, you must stop being a slave. It wasn't like that, because those people were more concerned with whatever they do. So what I'm telling you is not only to discover the Malay people, but to discover Islam through the Malay people. They brought the Islam, how it was really practiced in its true nature. If you look today, I'm going to give you also another example. And this you can look up and see old photos of Malay people when they went to the Jummah on a Friday and see how well they were dressed. It is part of them to have dressed very well to make them preparation going to Jummah. Even if they were working on the building, they will go with a suit. And when they finished, they will put on the suit and the tie. There was painters working with tie. You can ask the teacher. They work with the tie. But they are builders, painters. So if they could work like that, you can imagine the type of work they were giving. But today, if somebody paints, it looks like a Christmas tree. All the paint is on. But those people could work with the suit. It means the work was so good that it doesn't splash on them. So Fridays, people were well dressed. But if we look in the deen, we would see that it is part of the deen to prepare yourself to bath, to smell good, and to dress well, and then go to the Jummah. Now we ask our question. In this time, people is asking, so why is now the youth and these people not the same like the people before? It was also in the dress, because if you follow the dressing for the Jummah, you follow the rule for the Jummah, and whatever is taught in the Jummah is now making you remind to leave whatever you were doing from this week to the next week. So I'm saying, even in Cape Town, if there is a Jummah in every part of the town, but from one Jummah to the other, there's more children taking drugs, the Jummah is there not right. Because the Jummah is supposed to remind you to stop what you are doing now till the next week. So Muslims shouldn't be getting into trouble, because they're the only people who should be remember every Friday from Friday to stop what they are doing. So, to look back then is to see what did grandfather do. So he dressed well. If we want to progress and be good, then we should do what grandfather did. I was just saying also,